Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Brazos Valley. My name is Reverend Kiya. My pronouns are she, they, and I am so happy to see you all. Welcome to Cinco de Mayo and Border Stories. Do y'all know about Cinco de Mayo? We are celebrating the battle that the Mexicans won against the French in the Second Empire, French Empire, at the Battle of Puebla in 1862. That's what they're celebrating, and we should all be happy about it because then the French didn't fight for the Confederacy. So that's good, right? So, so Cinco de Mayo, party on. We're going to sing number 305, De Colores.
And good morning, Feliz Cinco de Mayo, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Brazos Valley, UUCBV, or Brazos UU for short. My name is Jerry Wagner, my pronouns are he and him, and I am serving as your worship assistant today. We are a welcoming congregation, which means we celebrate and welcome all people of diverse sexual orientation and gender identities. We also strive to welcome people across diversities of race, age, ability, immigration status, and belief. We are also a congregation working for reproductive justice. So, whoever you are, wherever you have come from, wherever you are on life's journey, you are welcome here.
Our call to worship this morning comes from Barack Obama. And he says, and to those nations like ours that enjoy relative plenty, we can say we can no longer afford indifference to the suffering outside our borders, nor can we consume the world's resources without regard to effect. For the world has changed, and we must change with it.
Please say our chalice sliding words with me. We light the chalice, the symbol of our Unitarian universal faith, as a beacon of hope for all who seek justice, dignity, and compassion, and in celebration of the life of truth and meaning we share together. Now, all please join me in saying our affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
As Unitarian Universalists, we believe there's a spark of the divine in every being, including all of our beings. And so this is your opportunity to say howdy to the other divine sparks in the room. And please make a special effort to say hello to people that you don't recognize, people who are younger than you, people who are older than you, and I will let you know when it's over. One more wrap just for the beauty of it.
Good morning. My name is Allison. I use she, her pronouns, and I am someone in my 30s with glasses and brown hair. I am the Director of Religious Education here, and what that means is that I do fun stuff like a time for all ages. I know on the screen it probably says TFAA, and acronyms aren't very friendly, but it's called Time for All Ages. And it is when I tell you a story, or something else, but this week I'm telling you a story. And our story today is about a girl who needs to find a wish for her dandelion. And it reminds us how hope is always all around. And it is called Carmela Full of Wishes. Carmela scootered along the uneven dirt path, watching men stoop to work with their hands, her birthday bracelets jingling and jangling. The thick greenhouse air smelled of marigolds and overturned earth and fresh manure. Carmela knew exactly what manure was, but she didn't want to think about that. Not today. Today she awoke to candles and her pancakes and her mom saying, "Happy birthday to you," and told her, "Go on, Mija, make a wish." But Carmela's wish had already come true. She was finally old enough to go with her big brother. Carmela followed as he cut back onto the street at Freedom Boulevard, past the crowded bus stop and fenced-off repair shop, past the old folks' home where two hunched old women waved smiles, past the huge home improvement store where her dad used to stand around weekend mornings waiting for work. Carmela tried to make small talk with her brother as the metal cart rattled, but her brother didn't make small talk back. He didn't want her tagging along. "Too bad," she told him with her glare. Just outside the laundromat, she picked a lone dandelion growing among the concrete weeds. She pulled a breath and leaned toward the fuzzy white bowl, but just before she could blow, her brother butted in. "Did you even make a wish? You're supposed to make a wish. Everyone knows that." "Of course I made a wish," she told him, but it was a lie. Carmela didn't know. Carmela helped her brother sort colors one-handed, helped him load the washers one item at a time. While their clothes spun, her imagination turned, each new thought ushered in by a jingle of bracelets. Her brother found the sound annoying and shot her a dirty look. "Too bad," she told him with her glare. She jingled her bracelets as she rode up to Miss Maria's vegetable stand, imagining a machine built into her bedroom wall, one that would spit out anything she could think of, but mostly candies. She jingled her bracelets in line at the locksmith shop, imagining her mom sleeping in one of those fancy hotel beds she spent all day making for fancy guests. She jingled her bracelets at the bodega down the block from their old apartment building, imagining her dad getting his papers fixed so he could finally be home. She jingled her bracelet outside the pharmacy, eyeing the new shiny bikes in the window. Her brother stopped in his tracks. "Why do you have to be so annoying?" She rummed her bracelets at him and said, "It's a free country." The only time she didn't reach for her bracelets was when her brother ducked into his friend's house. Carmela slumped down on the curb, silently imagining all the things she could turn him into. The slimy pink tail of a rat, a cockroach scurrying away from the light, a wheelbarrow full of manure left in the sun. She stared down at the dandelion in her hand. It seemed so much more important now that she knew it was a place to put her wishes. What if she made the wrong choice? Carmela tried to hop a curb on the long trip home, but her tire caught and her handlebars twisted, and she went crashing onto the concrete. "Don't cry, don't cry, don't cry." But then she saw her dandelion crushed beside the drain. She looked up at her big brother, warm tears rolling down her cheeks. He lifted up her scooter. "You okay?" She shook her head and pointed. "My wish." He took her by the arm and led her back up the block, past the laundromat and the flea market, past the greenhouses and the smell of manure, past the overgrown park and across the train tracks. He didn't stop until they made it to an abandoned farmhouse near a cliff overlooking the sea. "Close your eyes," he said. Carmela closed them. "Now make your wish," he said. Carmela listened to the ocean's hum in the distance. She listened to the squawking birds. She listened to the wind whistling past her ears. Then she opened her eyes. She saw hundreds of tiny white spores lifting into the air, floating out toward the far-off surf. The sky was full of wishes. "Let's go," her brother said. "Don't you want to know my wish?" she asked. He shook his head. "If you tell, it won't come true." She looked back one last time, then took off her bracelets and followed her brother home. The end. I wonder what you would wish for if you found a dandelion today. But remember, don't say it, because it might not come true. All right, now is the time when all of the younger UUs can come with me to religious education. And would you all please kindly sing us out with this little line of mine?
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
So, I thought I would just tell you in 20 minutes everything you need to know about the border. Yeah. Well, I'm breaking it up into 3 parts, and I've made movies, and I'm going to give you a trigger warning about the movie, because there are politicians in it. All right. The U.S. has always had a border problem ever since the Anglos moved across the Appalachians and crossed the Mississippi. Since Americans made themselves at home in Texas, since Apaches learned to pinch cattle from sleepy Spanish ranches. People have crossed the line, the imaginary line that's moved over time. In fact, it's based on a river that rises and falls and changes course. They're all still crossing because so much remains the same in spite of all that has changed. The U.S. craves cheap labor. Tribes cling to what is left of their land. Mexico struggles with poverty, disruptions, disputes, cartels, gunfire, and the desert claims all kinds of people that should not have to go in the first place. History merges with the now in ways that are hard to follow. Lines blur between nations, between the past and the present, even in the shadow of a steel fence. Somewhere downstream, the Rio Grande slips out of its banks and the line shifts again. The U.S. border, Mexico border, is 1,951 miles long, and it's the busiest in the world, allowing more than 300 million people, 90 million cars, and 4.3 million trucks to cross every year. That's a lot. So we're going to watch a movie, and again, trigger warning, there's people in it you may not want to see.
Does the U.S. have a border crisis? Yeah.
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people.
Migrants gasping for air from a truck in Frio County, Texas.
Everybody's looking for something better. We're not animals, we're human beings.
Our country is being poisoned.
The buses keep coming to New York City and Washington, D.C.
New York City is a self-declared sanctuary city.
Republicans are playing politics with human beings, using them as props.
Texas has been left alone as some frontier outpost.
Biden is simply derelict in his duty.
Border, border, border.
We saw record-breaking numbers of migrant crossings at the southwestern border, with Border Patrol reporting nearly 250,000 encounters in December alone.
Acá, Puebla.
¿Todo está bien?
Gracias.
¿Comida quieres comer?
Déjame un poco de ahí porque dije que voy a seguir.
Es muy triste. Todo está bien. Voy a tomarle para la patrulla.
Sí, por favor, yo me quiero ir a mi casa con mi papá.
Yo era un pastor.
Me dejaron desde esos cerros, tuve que atravesar desde allá para acá a buscar en el rancho ayuda.
¿Dónde estás? El grupo se fueron.
Se fueron, me abandonaron, ya no pude seguir caminando. Sí.
No más, no hay nadie más.
No.
Todo está bien.
Gracias.
No, todo está bien.
Muchas gracias.
Yeah, we're going to sing number 188. And around, come, whoever you are, it's by Rumi. Rumi's a 12th century poet, Islamic poet. Mystic.
Use your mic.
There you go. Yeah, you want to help me? All right, can you give us a D chord? A D. You want to start? Good job on the ground singing. So I've got a timeline for you. It's got the kind of the highlights of how we got the border. Whoever John puts it up. Y'all give John a hand. He does amazing work. And you might not be there.
I don't know if I have that kind.
It's a timeline.
I only have the pictures. Oops.
Do you see it? Okay, well, never mind. I'll just tell you. So, we had Mexico under Spain. Then about 1810, Hidalgo, who was a priest, he had an uprising. They start fighting for their independence. Excellent, let's go. Okay, so this is when you first get a border. 1853, the Gadsden Purchase settles the U.S. border. Franklin Pierce purchases 30,000 square acres of land along the Mesilla Valley, which runs from California to El Paso, for $10 million. What a deal. He plans to use the land for a transcontinental railroad to the Pacific Ocean. And the Gadsden Purchase, as it becomes known, resolves an outstanding border dispute between Mexico and the United States and marks the last adjustment. So basically, it's the Rio Grande River. That's it. Okay, next one. Yeah, so the railroad companies in the U.S. need workers, and they had just done an anti-immigrant law to ban the Chinese from immigrating. And so they needed workers, and guess where they got them? Mexico. To the point that there were 60% of U.S. railroad forces in the early 1900s were Mexican. And of course, there was no border patrol. So people were brought in, and they were brought in to work. And this is a pattern that started way back then and has continued. Go ahead to the next one. Okay, so Pancho Villa goes after it. Rebel forces led by Emilio Zapata in the south and Pancho Villa in the north. In 1911, the dictator says, "Poor Mexico, so far from God and so close to the United States." So accurate. The bloody conflict, political upheaval causes a flood of Mexican immigrants to immigrate north. Nobody's guarding the border at this point. People are just coming in, and it's a lot. So between 1910 and 1920, there's almost 900,000 Mexicans migrate. But we say migrate, but it was their country first. Just saying. Okay, go ahead to the next one. So the Border Patrol starts in 1930. They start restricting it. It's also at the end of World War I, because you start having people from all over the world come in, and they're trying to control it. They're trying to keep us a white country. Y'all know this is true, right? White supremacy is under the undercurrent, and we're really seeing it now. Go ahead. So when the Depression happens, then they want to throw everybody out. And they do. And so a lot of people move back, whether willingly or unwillingly. These people are saying goodbye to people who've been in the States for many, many years. Okay? Go to the next one. So maquiladora, you know what that is? It's a sweatshop. That's the polite way of saying it. But that's where the economy of Mexico becomes dependent on sweatshop work and trying to undercut it. So it messes with American labor and it messes with Mexican labor. And this is a period of time where it really gets going, between 1965 and 1992. And then you get a drug war. So the drug war starts in 1969, still going on. We get NAFTA in 1994, which basically means you can trade, but they use NAFTA like a tool against any movement in Canada or in Mexico to organize their labor and protect it. They say, oh, no, that's not fair trade. We don't take care of our workers here, so you can't take care of yours there. Go ahead. So, from 2000 to then, to now, it's just been one huge mess. And no matter who's in charge, it's still a mess. And they can't fix it. Keep going. In 22, they had the highest monthly total on record of almost 300,000 or 2,500,000 people. And it's continuing to surge. It's still going on. And because of the election, evidently, Congress can't seem to get it together, even when they have a bipartisan idea, they can't get it together. So, y'all all know this. It's a mess. But what I want you to see about the 18-year-old migrant boy who was crying, that's the people that we're talking about, that were leaving in the desert or sitting in Mexico and the women are getting taken advantage of. There's sexual violence going on all over the place. And these people are desperate enough that they're coming, and we're not paying attention to it. Our news media is not giving us those images. You're not seeing the pictures of the people. And that's why I call the service Border Stories, because we want to talk about the people and not just the politicians. So we're going to sing you a song this morning that's about a plane wreck that happened from one of these policies. It's called The Plane Wreck in Los Gatos. It was written by Woody Guthrie, who read the article in the Fresno Bee about this plane that went down with 29 deportees. They weren't really actually deportees, but they were people who had been working in the United States and they were being taken back to Mexico when they were playing with them in a canyon and killed everybody. And when they wrote the articles, only the B listed the names of the people. They listed the names of the white people who died, the border guard, the person who was in charge, and the pilot, but they never wrote the names of the people who died. And when Woody Guthrie saw this, he was so incensed that he wrote this song. It was really a poem. And then a teacher added the music to it about 10 years later. And so both Woody Guthrie and the teacher are listed as the writers of this song. But we're going to play it for you, but I'm going to show you a little movie about it first.
I think one of the first reasons that people react to the story is because immigration is a hot word right now. But then the second thing I think is the fact that you have an American folk hero tied directly to it, Woody Guthrie, and then the mystique of who are the people, where are the names. So there's that kind of intrigue, And when you put those things together, I think it creates for an interesting story.
We died in your hills, we died in your deserts.
I was originally working on a book that took place in 1947 and 48. And I was also doing research in the library, looking at old newspapers. And while I was looking at old newspapers, one day I saw this headline that jumped out at me, and it said something to the effect of 100 prisoners see an airplane fall from the sky. I started to read the article, and I realized at some point that this is the same incident that Woody Guthrie had written about, in the song Playing Rick at Los Gatos, the deportee song.
All they will call us is the deportees.
In 1948, there was a program with Mexico through the federal government to allow workers to come to the U.S. while our troops were taking care of World War II, so there was a shortage of workers. And so through this Brazos program, they were allowed to come to the U.S. for 45 days. But once their contracts were up, they were, in a sense, taken back to the border. These 28 Mexican nationals boarded a DC-3 plane from Oakland, headed to El Centro, California, and about an hour into their flight, the left wing caught fire and the plane crashed in what's called Los Gatos Canyon near Coalinga.
So we're here at the actual site of the plane crash, after the plane came down over that ridge there.
Crops are rolling, peaches are ripe, oranges are packed in the crystal dawn. They're flying us back to the Mexico border to pay all our money to bring back again. Goodbye, Tijuana, goodbye, Rosalita, adios. Father's own father, he waded that river. He took all the money he made in his life. 600 miles to the Mexico border. They chased us like rustlers, like outlaws, like thieves. Goodbye, Tijuana, goodbye, Rosalita, adios. Jesus, Maria, you won't have a name when you ride the airplane. All they will call you will be deportee. The sky plane caught fire of Los Gatos Canyon. A big ball of fire, it shook all the ground. Who are these friends who are falling like dry leaves? The radio said they were just deportees. Help me out. Goodbye, Rosalita, adios. valleys. We died in your church, we died on your plains. We died on your deserts, we died in your treetops. Both sides of the river, we died just the same.
Y'all sing, okay?
Goodbye to my one, goodbye, Rosalina. Adios, mi amigos, Jesus and Maria. You won't have a name when you ride in the airplane. All they will call you will be Ortiz.
Last chance.
Goodbye to my one, goodbye, Rosalina. Adios, mi amigos, Jesus and Maria. You won't have a name when you ride the big airplane. All they will call you will be Ortiz.
So the professor that you saw in that last video, he teaches at UT El Paso. He's a poet. You could tell he plays music as well. And he wrote a book about this, All They Will Call You. And if you want to read more about this incident, but he organized a memorial service where the names were read and all the survivors' families came. And now there is a memorial there, 70 years later, that has the list of everybody's actual names. So that's how it all turned out. Okay, so we pretty much got that it's a mess. So I just want to focus on Texas, and then I want to talk about some of the stuff we can do. What can you do? What can I do? And there are organizations that are working on these issues in the area. But let me start by showing you this last part of the movie that's just about SB4 in Texas.
This morning, tensions escalating on the Texas border. Dramatic new video shows a struggle between Border Patrol and migrants in El Paso. Video shows dozens of migrants pulling aside a razor wire fence, then pushing their way past a handful of Border Patrol agents. The migrants were eventually stopped a short time later by a steel fence, where border agents and Texas DPS contained the situation and processed the 400 to 600 migrants. Governor Greg Abbott posting on social media that after the incident, law enforcement quickly regained control and are redoubling the razor wire barriers, while urging Texas DPS to arrest those involved for criminal trespass and destruction of property. Earlier this week, video captured in Ciudad Juarez, Mexico, shows migrants placing blankets over a similar barbed wire fence to protect themselves as they pass through. This all comes as the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals heard arguments this week about the controversial Texas bill SB4. The bill would allow local authorities in Texas to arrest migrants suspected of crossing illegally and empower state judges to order deportations back to Mexico. The Supreme Court allowed the bill to go into effect for hours on Tuesday, only for the law to be paused again upon appeal. The circuit court judges appearing skeptical.
This is the first time, it seems to me, that a state has claimed that they have the right to remove illegal aliens.
States outside of Texas are also feeling pressure to get involved at the border. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro says he won't send National Guard troops to the border, despite calls from his Republican-led legislature.
The last thing in the world I'm going to do is put the brave women and men of the Pennsylvania National Guard's lives at risk to be part of some political squabble at the border.
Officials tell NBC News that the type of incident that occurred in El Paso is rare at the border. CBP emphasizing that individuals who are here without a legal basis to remain in the U.S. are subject to deportation and would not be allowed to reapply for admission for at least 5 years. And as for that new law, it remains on hold. No word yet on when we might expect a ruling. Craig?
So we keep trying to solve things by adding more border patrol, making the laws more stringent, being crueler to the people that are desperate enough that they're trying to make a pass. Now, I'm not saying that we should have open borders, that's not what I'm saying. But I am saying that we have to pay attention to the entire world. We can't just, everybody here have all the stuff and think that we're going to keep everybody else out by building a taller wall. That's crazy. It's crazy talk. In the national conversation around immigration in the border region, the federal government has adopted an enforcement-only policy and demanding more agents, more detention beds, more military interventions, and that kind of thing. It matters who we vote for. I can't tell you who to vote for. I could, but I'm not going to tell you from here. We have to do what we can. And I know it's so overwhelming. It's such a big issue that it's easy to just put it aside and say, it's too big for me, I can't deal with it. But here in Texas, we have a lot of people doing some good stuff. The Immigrant Justice Center says Americans can help the border crisis by donating. If you've got money, if you've got time, you can volunteer. Stay informed. Just to know what's going on is half the battle, right? And it's overwhelming. Nobody wants to look at pictures of people crying on the border. Nobody does. But if we don't know what's going on, then we're kind of complicit. And I don't want us to be complicit. I want us to do what we can. So let's be positive and think of things that we can do. There's a thing called the Women's Refugee Commission.org. And they say Americans can help migrant children by speaking out and educating people around them on the facts. You also can take a combination of advocacy, policy changes, and humanitarian aid. So what kind of humanitarian aid are we talking about? As Unitarians, we have the UUCBV, which is the service committee, and they do work on the border. They do work all around the world, actually. And so they're a good option for us as Unitarians. Also, we can make it easier. I know it seems like this doesn't change anything. It's much better to demonstrate and get arrested. But sometimes it just helps to write your congressman and put pressure on them. To say, hey, we want you to do something. We need policies. We need to make it easier for people to find a path to citizenship. We need to make sure that we're creating more secure, orderly pathways for people to come into the United States. And people are coming from all over the world. Jamaica, Haiti, China. People are coming from all over the world through the border. And because the border guards are so overwhelmed and so many people are coming, you see scenes like what happened in that last video where people are rushing the border. We could modernize the ports of entry. We could use existing funds to hire child welfare, medical, and language professionals so people can actually speak in their own language and explain what's going on with them. It seems so logical. Funding community-based support services, proven humane alternatives to detention. One thing for sure, we should not be paying prisons to house detainees. That's crazy. That's crazy. It's another form of slavery. Because when you're in detention, you work for less than $2 an hour. That's just slave wages. That's what the whole prison system's built on. But we don't talk about this stuff and we're not educated on it. So I just want to bring up some people who are doing work here in Texas. The Annunciation House, which is a faith-based organization providing shelter and resources to migrants and homeless families in El Paso. El Paso is like a place that's getting really overwhelmed. You can donate to them and look them up online. The Catholic Charities of the Rio Grande Valley Humanitarian Respite Center also does a lot of good work. They're providing shelter and resources to whole families in the Rio Grande Valley. So they need clothing, they have an Amazon wish list online. You can look and do that kind of donating that way. The Dilly Pro Bono Project is doing a lot of pro bono legal aid for people who are trying to get asylum, because often they don't have adequate representation. They don't know what their legal rights are. And so they're getting taken advantage of, especially if they're waiting on the Mexico side of the border. Anyway, I've got that list up there. Hopefully y'all can see it. The Good Neighbor Settlement Fund in Brownsville is doing shelter, food, resources for families, and they take donations. Frontier Aid for Migrants is a Texas-based organization, and they have a GoFundMe page. They also have an Amazon wish list. And then, y'all, you know that our church is sponsoring the crowd walk here in Brazos Valley. It's November 3rd, so you can put it on your calendar if you want to come walk. But a quarter of the money we raise goes to our local food pantry. A lot of the money also goes to do work in the migrant communities, and there is a Houston office. So if you want to volunteer, they have a lot of things that we can do here, like putting backpacks together for kids that are on their own to go to school. You know, that has like notebooks and pencils and things like it. We can do that in our fellowship hall. We can put that kind of stuff together. There's a lot of things that they're doing, and we want to help them. They're also working in Africa. They do a lot of work with people who are gay in Africa, but they don't advertise it because those people, if they got featured in a video, could be murdered. That's how serious it is. So you don't always know everything they're doing, but that's why we're working with them. Church World Services, and their office in Houston. If you're looking for places to volunteer where you can get your hands dirty, that's your way. And I hope that this works out for you and that you got some information that's useful to you.
Now let an offering be taken to sustain and strengthen this place, which is sacred to so many of us, a community of memory and of hope, for we are now the keepers of the dream. This church shares the proceeds of the offering plate donation each week to help support important nonprofit organizations with which we work. The 4 groups we voted to support with this year's donations are the African American Museum, Brazos Valley Blessings, the Pride Center, the Brazos Mobile Food Pantry. We vote on this every May at our congregational meeting.
May 19th. May 19th.
And so please be as generous as you can.
So we're going to sing another Woody Guthrie song. This is one you should definitely know. We need it. It's very timely. It's called All You Fascists Are Bound to Lose. The words are up there, I think. Can you see them? Okay, excellent. And I want to thank Darby and Ken and Meg for singing and playing with me. I'm gonna tell you fascists, you may be surprised, the people in this world are getting organized. You're bound to lose, you fascists bound to lose. Race hatred cannot stop us, there's one thing that we know. Your poll tax and your Jim Crow and green has got to go. You're bound to lose, you fascists bound to lose. Here we go. All you fascists bound to lose. And all you fascists bound to lose. All you fascists bound to lose. We're bound to lose. You fascists bound to lose.
You're bound to lose. You fascists bound to lose. All right, help us out. All you fascists bound to lose. All you fascists bound to lose. All you fascists bound to lose. You're bound to lose. You fascists bound to lose.
Last chance.
All you fascists bound to lose. All you fascists bound to lose. All you fascists bound to lose. You're bound to lose. You fascists bound to lose.
We give thanks for these gifts we have given, for those we receive, and for each other. May your generosity return to you tenfold. I have a few announcements this morning. The stewardship drive is in full swing. You should have gotten a letter in the mail. If you have any questions, please see Darby or Carolyn for more information. We will be having our first post-Mormon coffee hour today at 11:45. The congregational meeting, once again, is on May 19th after the service. And you can email Reverend Kiya with your recommendations for our Split the Plate partners for the coming fiscal year. And finally, David and Mary Ellen 50th Wedding Fiesta Fundraiser. Yeah. That will be June 1st. Tickets are $20 and just $30 for a family. We'll have food and live music and childcare provided, so come out and support the missions of UUCBV. Buy tickets online or at coffee hour every Sunday in May. Now, please join me in extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we gather together again.
We want to welcome the Students Against Apartheid who are here visiting. They're going to have a table in the hall if you want to know what's going on at A&M about the Gaza situation. They are your people, and they are sitting out, and we want to welcome them. Thank you for coming. And now please join me in singing our benediction. Remember the way of the wind.